comes to Empower Her Health Coaching, this is one of my longer talks I'm going to be doing, and it kind of summarizes some of the short little videos that I've been doing throughout the week. And I hope to keep it concise so it can still, help you in a quick way, because I know we're all busy women trying to accomplish things in our life and balance all of the things. But my hope is that this is going to be some very useful information for you that you can quickly apply to your life and can make a big change and help you feel empowered. So today we're going to be talking about righting hormonal imbalances, because this is something that a lot of women in our modern day society are dealing with, and it is almost like an epidemic. It is, everywhere I turn, someone has some kind of thyroid thing going on, or they have PCOS or endometriosis. There's a lot of this. It's kind of rampant in our society today. And so, I dealt with my own journey of having hypothyroid, having my cortisol was very low, and I also had very extremely low iron, and I also am dealing with adenomyosis, and I have hormonal migraines that are associated, and we believe that the root cause of that was the iron deficiency. But with that said, I've done a lot of digging lately into the hormonal world, and I am going through my health coach certification process. And in that process, there's just kind of like 5 things that have stuck out to me that can be very applicable to women in today's society. The first one is actually getting the facts, actually getting your blood work done, because a lot of books are out there that are like, take this test and maybe it means you have high estrogen. And honestly, I tried to do that, and I was like, oh, maybe I have high estrogen, maybe I have low estrogen, maybe I'm not ovulating, I have no idea. And so actually getting the facts is huge. Get your blood work done, and then work with someone who is able to not just tell you if you're in the healthy range, but if you're in the optimal range, because there's a big difference. A lot of people, like T3, for example, I just got into the healthy range, but it is not optimal. So my energy is still going to be low. My thyroid is not quite functioning as it should. Now, also have someone that can interpret how things are related. So, for instance, my T3 was really high, and my reverse T3 was really high, and my T3 was kind of getting to that healthy range. But that means there was a conversion problem. So there was a specific supplement that could help me with that conversion, and then we did see it come down. So those things that someone can look at it and tell you is so important. And a lot of our conventional doctors do not have the ability to do that, because they are not looking at the root cause. They're looking at how to solve the problem. And that's just how they are taught in school. They are not taught about nutrition. They're not taught about lifestyle. They are taught about medications, and they're taught about surgery, and they are experts at it, and all of those things have their time and place. But getting the blood work done, having it read by a professional who can tell you how things are related, what is optimal, and also kind of give you some ideas for supplementation instead of just that band-aid of medication. Now, we did talk about medication too. So medication does have its time and place. There are times that, specifically through menopause, if someone has a severe imbalance, medication, especially short term, can be helpful. And especially when we're pairing it with our foundations of health, which we will get into next. But I am not a doctor. I am not going to tell you what types of medication to take, but I do know that they have their time and place, and especially in conjunction with lifestyle changes, they can be super helpful. So do not write them off, because I know birth control, it makes a lot of us feel awful. We want to say we're not going to do it, but maybe we're not in a time in our lives that we are able to make some huge lifestyle changes. Maybe we're not willing to. Maybe it is such a deficiency that we need a little boost to get us to a good place. So don't be very quick to write off medication. Now, we talked about getting blood work, getting the facts. We talked about not writing off medication off the bat, considering it, see if you're a candidate for it. And number 3 is going to be those lifestyle changes or foundations of health. And this is my big thing, because when I'm doing my studies right now, it is crazy how similar making a lifestyle change and taking medication are. In conjunction, they have the best results a lot of times. But if you don't want the side effects of that medication, making a lifestyle change a lot of times can do the trick without those side effects. It might take a little bit longer, but you also are going to prevent those issues from happening again, and a multitude of other issues if you are getting some of those lifestyle or foundations of health in place. Now, for me, the 4 foundations of health are stress management, which is easier said than done, sleep, nutrition, and movement. Now, let's dig into sleep first, because a lot of times this is one that it's the first thing to go. I'm going to get less sleep. I have kids. There's no way I can get sleep. Um, you know, but if there was one piece of advice that I could give to a person, it is get enough sleep and the best quality sleep that you possibly can. Make sure your room is completely dark. Make sure that it's cool. Make sure that you are turning off screens at least an hour ahead of bedtime. Make sure if you can, expose yourself to evening light, the sunset, and morning light within a half hour of waking up. All of these things are going to help your sleep hygiene, and sleep is truly the most restorative thing. I think one of the number one things, if I could have just slept more, it would have been a huge game changer in my own personal journey. Secondly, we're going to talk about stress management, because this is something that people are like, yeah, manage stress. Yeah, right. It's almost a joke of like stress management, right? It's just we're going to have stress, but there are things that we can put into our day that are going to help us. And I like to have kind of like one preventative kind of stress management tool and one kind of acute stress management tools for when the stress hits, because it will. So the stress prevention, this can be anything from morning and evening gratitude. It can be kind of a reflection from the day. Like, what are my grows and glows? I, kind of a shameless plug here, I did create a bullet point reflections journal that you can do, 3 morning gratitudes, a reflection on the day, and 3 evening gratitudes. And it's just meant to be quick and concise, not full sentences, just something that you can write down. But that is a preventative stress management tool. Maybe it's a daily walk, maybe it's meditation, maybe it's devotions. Having something carved into your day for yourself to kind of get perspective, and that kind of calms you down. Then we want kind of the acute stress management. That's going to be more on the side of, I am going to clench my fists, count to 10, and then slowly release a breath. Or it can be breathing. I really like the breathe in for 4 and say I am, and then breathe out for 6 and say at peace. Like, that is simple. When we breathe out for a little bit longer than we breathe in for, that's really going to be calming our mind down and getting us from our hind brain, kind of our reactive brain, to our executive brain, or our true thinking brain. Some of these techniques, it might be going around the block, just taking a walk. It might be, okay, I'm going to walk in the other room. Maybe I'm going to sing. Some of these things are going to really help settle down our nervous system. That is, in the moment when we're really stressed, it helps us kind of get back into the calm nervous system. Also, putting our hand over our heart and breathing in and breathing out. And we can say something like, I'm at peace, I'm okay, I am loved. Things like that. They are acute, they are simple to do. Even when our kids are screaming at us, maybe we're driving the car, they are realistic things that we can do in those acute moments of stress. And so we did sleep, we did stress management. Now we're moving on to nutrition. Now, nutrition is one thing. With hormone imbalances, a lot of times it can be the case that we are overweight. We're trying to lose weight. Maybe we try really hard for a couple of weeks and then we completely go the other direction and we kind of feel like we're helpless to losing weight. Maybe it is that we try to go low carbohydrate, low fat. We're trying things in our diet. But honestly, eating enough is one of the most important things you can do. My doctor told me, you need to eat enough. Your body is in survival mode right now. That's why you have an imbalance. Protein, first of all, getting 0.7 to 1 grams per pound of body weight is very, very helpful. Carbohydrates are helpful. They are our friend, especially if you are exercising regularly. They are something that women need. If we get too low, we can actually, if insulin resistance is an issue, that's when sometimes carbohydrates are we want to cut them out, but the opposite can happen, and we can actually get hyper or hypoglycemic, and it could be a little bit low. So carbohydrates are important. We need all of our macros. Healthy fats are also important. We need them for hormonal imbalance specifically. That's what fats do in our body. That is their function. So we need enough of them. Think avocado, olive oil, healthy fats like that. Nuts and seeds have their place as well. But eating enough food is very, very important. And so making sure you're doing that. Not a surplus, but we're eating enough food. And so you can kind of experiment with this, eating, weighing yourself daily. That's a whole nother conversation of being able to weigh yourself as a tool instead of as a self-deprecating thing that you do every morning. But yes, finding that balance of good, healthy food and nutrition is important. So we did sleep, we did stress management, we did nutrition. We're moving on to movement. So walking is one of the best things that you can do. It does help us move our bodies. It helps us burn calories, maybe not in a significant way, but it also does not raise our cortisol. And raising our cortisol, a lot of times is something that's working against us in terms of hormone balance. And so getting out there on walks is huge. If you're not able to, a treadmill, a walking pad under your desk, some kind of that low impact and, that kind of movement can be so healing to us. Lifting weights is also something that is not going to get our cortisol as high as traditional cardio might, or HIIT, or interval training. But traditional weightlifting, where you are lifting heavy weights that are taxing your muscles, so it's really hard to do those last few reps, and then taking a nice break before you do the next set. That type of weightlifting is awesome for us, and it also is very healing to a lot of the functions that are kind of affecting our hormones. So walking and traditional weightlifting would be my two recommendations for exercise, specifically with hormonal imbalances. Yes, down the road you do want to add cardio back in. You do want to work on that heart health, but I would say those are the two pieces, specifically if you're not moving at all, or if you do know that you have a hormonal imbalance. And then those are going to be our foundations of health. So we have sleep, stress management, nutrition, and movement. Those four, if we are working on those foundations of health, that a lot of times is where the root cause of our hormonal imbalance lies. Now, there are some outliers that I was talking about. So environmental toxins can be the cause in some specific cases of hormonal imbalances, as can the micronutrient deficiency. So first of all, environmental toxins, they're everywhere, especially if you're buying conventional household products. There are a lot of ingredients just naturally in our beauty products, in our cleaning products, in anything that are banned in other countries. They're just not even legal. So being a little bit more purposeful as you're getting through some of these household items, looking for ones that are a little bit cleaner. I use EWG's app, and you can actually just scan a product right in the store, or you can put it in the search engine, and you can see where it lies kind of on that toxin scale. So it doesn't mean you have to go out and throw everything away and get completely new cleaning products, but kind of consider that. That might be something that's helpful and kind of lowers that toxin count in your body. Also, warming up things in plastic containers, drinking out of water bottles, plastic water bottles that have been in the heat, that type of thing. Go to glass and metal if possible and stick with that. It's also very helpful as far as toxins are concerned. So that's kind of how you can do a little bit of a flip to keep yourself a little bit healthier as in terms of toxins. Now, micronutrients, definitely this was something for me. I had extremely low blood ferritin, so my iron, but ferritin specifically in my blood was super low, and that caused extreme fatigue. And so micronutrients sometimes can definitely play a role. If you are low in one of them, they can be definitely affecting you. And that's why getting a full blood panel, like we talked about way back at the beginning, is so important, because me taking an iron supplement is not that hard to do, but it's something that I definitely needed. And I would not have known that if I would have stuck with a conventional doctor and not gotten my full blood work done. So kind of look into getting that full blood panel if you are able, because that can be a huge help for a lot of people finding that kind of those outliers, those, little causes that might not lie in the foundations of health. And then the last thing that I kind of summed things up with was time. Writing hormones, it takes time. Our bodies are very cyclical. They, I think it's how our period is the result of 3 months earlier, or our egg quality is the result of 3 months earlier. What was happening in your life? If you're super stressed, that it takes that long for our body to kind of show results. And so give yourself some time to write these hormone balances, especially if you are dealing, trying to go to the root cause and trying to fix those foundations of health, or the environmental toxins or the micronutrients, those types of things. Definitely give it time. And I want to go back to the weight loss aspect. A lot of us that have hormonal imbalances also have some weight to lose. Some of us don't, and that's amazing, but a lot of women do. And so when we are in this specific circumstance of needing to heal our hormones but also wanting to lose weight, the hormones come first. Wellness over everything. Unless you have a specific condition where you need to lose weight right away because it's a detriment to your health, fix your hormones and stay at maintaining weight so you can figure some of these things out. Because when you are in weight loss, you are stressing your body out. And it's also very hard for you to establish habits because you are under this constant stress of not having enough food. So when you are maintaining weight, you're eating enough food, you are in a much less stressed environment in your body, and you are much more able to establish some solid habits that are not only going to help you to right these hormone imbalances, but they're going to keep you healthy, and they're going to prevent a multitude of other diseases that could happen. And so give yourself time, heal first, and when you are in a good, solid place, that is when you can go on a weight loss journey. And weight loss, again, something we will talk about in the future, but doing it in a healthy way and not doing a crash diet, but truly focusing on slow, steady fat loss for short periods of time is the way to go. And so hopefully in this time I've given you some things to think about. I have empowered you to take steps in your own health journey of getting blood work, working with a professional who can help you find some solutions, considering meds if you do need it with that professional, working on the foundations of health, considering also some of those outliers that might be affecting you, like toxins, micronutrients, and then lastly, giving it time. So I hope you feel empowered. I hope you have an amazing day, and make sure that you are jumping in my Instagram stories so you can vote for the next week's subject of what we're going to be talking about. I'm going to be doing a few short videos on it, and then I will do the longer all-encompassing talk as well. Thank you for listening. Stay healthy.